See there, people? Me is a youth in a ways to just try. Me is a hard working youth. Me try. Me not beg nobody nothing. And look why man him do me place last night. Look why man him do me place last night. Look why man him do me place last night. Me as a get a youth a try. And look why man him do me place. Me put on a shut up on my place, see there? The man him prize off the whole of me shut off on my place, see there? And tear down the whole of my place. See there? Take out my cigarette. Them take out everything, them just mash down my place, but then I try mash me down.
Now, people, on Wednesday, September 4, 2024, an incident took place at the Sangster International Airport in Montego Bay, St. James, where it is said that 71-year-old Leroy Smith, a native of Westmoreland who resides in Orlando, Florida, fell while checking in to board an outgoing flight on JetBlue. He was not moved to get medical help because there was no one to approve a $400 payment to use the service of a private ambulance. So he died on the floor where he fell. In the aftermath of Smith's death, Health and Wellness Minister Christopher Tufton criticized MBJ for not having an ambulance stationed at the compound, saying that this must be mandatory going forward.
They're attempting, it seems, to absolve themselves from responsibility to have an effective emergency response facility. It's in poor taste because it is insensitive to the grieving and the suffering that the deceased family members would be encountering at this point in time. This particular case, there was a private facility, health facility, that was contracted to provide that service. And I think if that is the case, then all the elements of that service should have been there, including, frankly speaking, an ambulance at the location, because of the risks that are involved in operating an international airport and the number of people that have to go back and forth and all the other moving parts. This clearly was not the case, and the airport operators should take the appropriate steps to correct this. Full stop. Any attempt at trying to move or push blame to someone else or indeed to the public health system is unfortunate and is wrong. As a government, myself as the Minister of Health and the Minister with responsibility for transport, Darrell Vaz, have been talking and need to continue the dialogue to respectfully, particularly to the grieving family members, try to bring some resolution to this issue in a way that does not see a reoccurrence where the issues around emergency response seems to have had gaps.
By its very nature, an airport operation, particularly an international airport, comes with particular risks. And an emergency response service should not have to wait, including logistics, for an ambulance to travel from a hospital, whether private or public, or from the fire station to that location. I think one should be stationed at the facility, at least. And so these are changes which I think needs to happen, and it's something that I am certainly going to be advocating for.
Well, people, the changes are going on as we speak right now, because you can see on your screen, that's an ambulance, and that's the ambulance right now at the Sangster International Airport in Montego Bay, St. James. So any other emergency, there's an ambulance there to do whatever they are supposed to do. But you see right now, people, you have gone through the gate already, you know. This should be there from morning. Every airport supposed to have ambulance and fire truck. Yes, emergency, because anything can go on at any given time. Now, for those who don't know what went down at the airport, I am going to play this video with an eyewitness. She will inform you on everything that took place in a short space of time, and the man lost his life right there on the ground.
Hi everyone. This is not something that I normally do. As a matter of fact, I've never done it before. But I believe that there is a need to do this today. I'm doing this. I'm live at this Sangster International Airport. on my way back home to America, taking flight JetBlue. So we arrived at the airport just about 11 o'clock there. A gentleman was behind me, one of the agents, speaking to another man. But I didn't pay them much attention, but I know they were talking. And then I just heard like somebody fell. I looked behind me. It was the passenger, an elderly man that fell. Blood was coming, I think, from his nose. And the agent who he was talking to, who had just stepped off for a little, just turned his back, turned around, and took up his head and tried to clear his passages. And I was saying, somebody call 911 or 119, whatever the case is. And I was saying to him, give him CPR. But he said to me, he's breathing. He's breathing, and for truth, he was breathing and doing a little bit of shuffling, slight shuffling. So when I saw a lot of blood coming from his head, I couldn't see the wound, but the blood was on the floor on his head. So I went into his bag. I saw his passport. No, his passport was on the ground beside him. So I took it up, put it in his bag. I looked at his bag and I saw his name, the name tag on the bag. So I could say what his name was. And then I was saying to the gentleman, we were there conversing, and I said, somebody call help. So in the meantime, I guess somebody was making a call. Somebody did say that they called whatever. I think they said operations or something. Right? And while they were there, nobody, and it took about between 20 minutes and half an hour for a lone nurse to come by. Right? And while the man was there, while the young guy was there with him, trying to keep his head up and all of that, I went into his bag and I saw a roll of tissue. And I gave him the roll of tissue, the entire roll, and tell him to press it on the wound. Try to press it on the wound on the head. Anyways, the nurse finally came and she said she was checking his oxygen, In the meantime, I took out his phone. I got his phone and was searching his phone to see if I could find a number, a recent number. And we were making calls using our phone. And because we couldn't place any calls on his phone. And then the JetBlue lady came and she took his phone and she went on the phone. Myself and her, we were going through what to find a number that we think we could call. So she called the number. While she was calling the number, another gentleman who came, I don't know who he represents, but he's with the airport. He's with the airport, he had on one of those vests. And he was saying, tell because we got through to the person on the phone. And the lady was telling him that, the customer, I won't say his name, the passenger, he collapsed, and he's at the airport. So she said she was trying to get somebody, He was there now telling us to tell him, or telling the JetBlue lady to tell the person on the phone that the single ambulance that is at Cornwall Regional is not available. And for them to call a private ambulance, the person on the phone has to approve the payment of $400. They have to confirm that it's okay for them to call the ambulance and noting the payment of $400. So I said, we have to wait for them to do that to get help for the man. The man need help. I saw the man gap. I've never seen somebody gap, or what they call it, catch breath, in my entire life. First time I'm seeing that. Right? And the man was gapping. Right? And the man was saying, so I said, why you need to tell them that? Why you need to get $400 or to confirm that then we pay $400 before you call that? You understand? I said, that is stupid. So the nurse was saying, if they can't get the ambulance, then they'll get the taxi. Miss, get the taxi. I'll pay the money for him. I'll pay the taxi. Get the taxi. You understand? So they tried to let me know that it's protocol and they have to get approval from the family member to call the ambulance, to call the private ambulance, which will cost $400 US. The man at the airport waiting and ready to go back to America, taking JetBlue, right? And he would have paid his fare to go on the flight. So I'm saying, could not JetBlue or even the airport take that cost? They have to depend, or they have to wait until a family member says that it's okay to go ahead and call the ambulance. Mark, the man came to the airport, whoever got him there left him, an elderly man. Understand? And I'm saying, come on, man. That is how we do things here. Because people are going to talk about you have to get approval to call an ambulance. Look how many people travel in the airport daily. Hundreds of thousands of people travel through the airport daily. And we don't have nothing in place for things like this. We don't have nothing in place for things like this. It just made me wonder if it was a white person, if it would have been the same treatment. I'm thinking this could happen to anybody. It could happen to me. It could happen to anybody at all, right? You know, just stay there and die. It takes so long to make a decision when people's life is dependent on it. We have to do better. Jamaica, JetBlue, I'm calling you out on this one because you should have been there for the man. You shouldn't be asking that question. He was your passenger and him at the airport, and he was talking to an agent, right? Getting whatever information he needed to get on the plane to check in, and he collapsed right there. All of that come talk about. We have to get approval from the family to call an ambulance to pay $400 US first, to find out how, if they're gonna pay $400 US before. Man, this is one of the worst experiences I've ever had in my entire life. You know, I'm calling out whoever is in charge of stuff like these, man. They need to do better. There should be an area in the airport to reach people. One ambulance, the Cornwall Regional Hospital, one ambulance, and because it is not available, a private ambulance has to be called, and before it is called, there has to be confirmation, right? Or whatever, that the $400 US, it's okay to call them. We will pay the $400 US. Oh, Jesus. God help us. God help us, man.